Hey guys, I'm Blue Sicx, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Tumblr at Blue Sicx Tarot under the name below. And today I'm going to do an unboxing, and this unboxing's gonna be worth it. Epic! Baby, I'm worth it. What happened to the Ben-Hur clip we had? What do you mean copyright issues? Takedown strikes? What are you talking about? Okay, fine, we'll just stick with that. Hopefully no one will really notice. Roll on intro. Okay, so we'll start off by having a look at the actual box itself. So, by the looks of it, I'd say that's Judgment on the front. Maybe one of the knights on the side there. That's either the High Priestess or the Magician. And then this might be like the Death card, but we'll find out. So, I've already removed the outer foil. I don't want to sit and watch me do that. Right, so we have Judgment there at the front. Justice rather. So, open that out as well. Oh, it's done by Lo Scarabeo, and let's get the knife to be easier. It's alright, I thought I'd get this done smoothly, but alas. Right, let's move those out of the way. Right, so we've got the Epic here. So we've got a nice little book. It's quite nice actually. It feels a little different than the standard, but then by the looks of it, it's only because it's mainly ink, so it's probably done that. So we've got our little guide here and a little spread there. So it tells you the symbols for each thing there. So have a quick look. Okay, so interesting there. So that's the standard book, and you've got your little card at the back there, which I don't really try. I'm trying not to keep these now because I don't really need to. So we've got the Epic Tarot. So we'll start out with the Fool, and it looks pretty interesting actually. I'm not quite sure what it is on his back there, but it's quite interesting. So we've got the Fool, and the Magician, being a guide more than anything else. There's a whole bunch of stuff on his head, and got a lion there and an elk or a deer. I'm not quite sure what the difference. So moving on. Yep, we've got the High Priestess. Oh, before we continue, the backs look really cool. Reminds me of the tarot that I can't remember the name of, but I'll put the name here at some point. Makes me think of those. But yeah, so you've got the High Priestess. She looks pretty cool there with a book, with a floaty book. And then you've got the Empress. Now, sometimes the Empress refers to on occasion as motherhood as well. It's with the cards I have, it's very rare that you see her being pregnant. So it's always interesting to see a pregnant Empress. So that's pretty cool. We've got a swan there and a crane there. That's really cool. Okay, the Emperor looks amazing. He looks really cool. Kind of like a lion face riding a cloud scorpion spider. I don't know, but he looks really cool. See if I can do it that way. Right, so I've just adjusted a bit there. So you've got the Hierophant next, speaking with spirits, and they've got cool spirits there and two hands. I think that might be silver and gold, so I think that still might be the silver and gold keys. So next we have the Lovers, kind of on the nose really. But maybe it's a symbol of epic lovemaking, who knows. I mean, got a little book, but I don't tend to read the books too often. Probably should more. Ah, right, so it looks like on the back, on the side of the box, they're two halves of the Chariot. which looks pretty cool. Now, I don't know if that's that looks more like a spirit rather than an actual person in the chariot, but hey, looks pretty cool to me. Strength, that looks quite interesting. Makes me think of the Weeping Angels, because I'm a Doctor Who fan, as some of you who follow my other Twitter would probably know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Looks like a Native American style. He looks kind of cool. Does look pretty good. That's pretty good. Then you've got the Hermit. Standard looking Hermit, I guess. Got his bowl out. Not really begging, but he's got his bowl out for donations and stuff. Then you have the the wheel. And that looks a lot deeper. No pun intended, but that looks a lot deeper than some of the others. So that would be quite interesting to get used to that one. Excuse me. So you've got justice, sorry, and looks like more part of a building than a person. So that looks quite cool. On a very large scale there. The Hanged Man, who appears to be more of a woman. I'll just quickly check. The sound you are now hearing is when you're looking through the book to see what they're actually calling, if it's a Hanged Man or woman. Hanged Man. That's a cool looking Hanged Man. It's one of my favourite cards. It's in my top 5, I guess. But yeah, I like that that's a really long snake. So that does look pretty cool. You've got the Death card. Quite a somber looking Death card. Riding a panther with some, obviously you've got dead bodies there, but it looks more regretful in the fact of his job. So you could always say that sometimes when something ends and changes happen, it might not necessarily be one you wanted to happen. So you've got Temperance. She looks like a florist, which looks pretty cool. I do like florist. The Devil. Quite a nice look. I always get excited when the Devil card comes out, because it can be anything at this point. I mean, yeah. This one looks quite an interesting design. Not one of my favourites, but I always think if they're going to go for I like the proper bestial, either human looking cool or something like beyond imagination, I guess, when I see the Devil and Tower. But so this one's quite cool. So there you've got the Tower. Not much to say about that one, really. Looks more like the destruction is happening. Kind of out of focus, really, out of frame, out of shot. So it doesn't look as dramatic as it usually is, which is surprising for the epic version. So you've got the Star. If it wasn't numbered, I wouldn't know. But yeah, that's the Star. It looks quite nice. Like the light against the darkness sort of feel to it. So that does look quite nice. You've got the Moon, which is looks more like it's focusing more on the illusion part rather than anything more ethereal. So it looks like it's focusing more on the illusion. The Sun. Looks like Dr. Manhattan's got a bit of a tan on him now, so he looks pretty cool. Judgment. That quite an interesting look for that one, I'd say. Very interesting indeed. The World. So it's got the classic animals, which I think are supposed to be various types of angel, or this is supposed to be the animal manifestations of a cherub. Now, cherubs in the biblical sense aren't the little chubby fat kids with wings. They're an angel, but with 4 animal heads. So might be a reference. Those animals might be a reference to that, actually. So we now go to the chalices, and I always worry when I get to the miners when I do a new deck. But let's see how this goes. Hooray! They're not pips. Man, I hate pips. So 2 chalices. It's nice kind of Chinese, Japanese sort of feel to them, so that's quite nice. Three of Cups. That seems less of a get-together and more of team building, more than anything else. This is a bit weird, but there you go. Four of Cups. That looks quite cool. Some person just chilling there with the ignored cup at the top. There aren't any other cups in the shop, but that doesn't really have to be. Five of Cups. It's very solemn. I like the idea of the fact he's in an icy area to rinse it out, so it feels more like he doesn't. It's like he's either been excised there, or just he's there of his own choice and he's wallowing in his own misery. And Caduce leaf. Well, that's quite nice. The Sicx is pretty cool there. I don't know if I'd ever use these just yet. I might wait a while, but these are quite nice. This one does look quite nice there. Seven of Cups. Now, usually there's a lot of choices in front of you. This person looks like they're ignoring all their choices, and maybe going with their heart more, you could say. Eight of Cups. Looks like no, someone's just being looked over and guarded. They look quite nonchalant about it, really. So we've got the Nine of Cups. There's not the artwork. First of all, I'd probably say this isn't for beginners, this deck, but the artwork's really good. However, there doesn't seem to be a lot of, of pictorial meaning as opposed to some of the others. So his thirst is being quenched. That's good. You probably can go very deep into that. So we've got the Ten of Cups, which is quite nice. See, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons there with all their different dice. But yeah, it's quite a nice looking one. So then you've got the Knave. So we've got a unicorn with the horn on its nose. Those you don't see that often, so that's pretty cool. So you've got the page there. Ah, okay, so it's more the animals. So you've got the Knight as a griffin. The Queen as a phoenix, maybe. And the King as a dragon. So I'm guessing all of them are going to be like that. So that's similar to the Anne Stokes. Is it Anne Stokes? Yeah, the Anne Stokes Gothic Tarot, where essentially all of the majors just tend to be animals, and it's harder to depict them, to define one against the other, because it's just all the kings are dragons. So it's going to be very difficult. But then it's also pre-existing artwork, which I always find a bit of a pain. So next we have the coins. So these seem to be more marbles than anything else. So it looks like that they're sticking with a single item rather than X amount for each card. But this one do look quite nice. That one looks pretty cool. Honing your skills and getting on with work, I guess. So that looks quite nice. That one's pretty cool. That's not in the classic sense of having all these coins everywhere, but it looks like they're trying to push them in different directions and not knowing what to do with what they have. Yeah, that looks. Usually, the Five of Coins is the classic version. Rather, is people walking past the church, and they're walking past the church and they're out in the cold. So this one has a similar feel to it. They're kind of lost and imagining greater things. The Sicx doesn't necessarily have that charitable feeling to it, but it has that look. It does have it feels more like support. So similar, but so one again, it's one of those similar but different. That one, the Seven seems to. There's not really a lot happening in there. There's no real. This deck feels like it's kind of doing its own thing, similar to the deck I mentioned earlier that I can't remember the name of. That I'll probably put another link at the bottom here just to say what it means again. I can't remember. But so these don't really have the classic look to them, but the Seven looks pretty interesting. 8 feels like there's a nice little bartering system going on. People doing things for everyone else. It's not really honing skills, but probably more focusing on your skill. Yeah, I guess you could probably say it's trying to hone. Similar to the classic, but there's no... Oh, there is a snail. Hooray. There's really lot I can say to this one, really. It looks like something from the Labyrinth there. Set of coins. Looks quite nice. It's charming. He's just having a nice relaxing time amongst all the beauty and splendour. And then we just have a white unicorn, a different shaded griffin, a phoenix. That looks like a cool phoenix. So I can kind of see a bit of a difference there, and a kind of nice detail in the forest. That dragon looks pretty cool as well. I think we can all say to that. So next it's wands. It looks like wands. So I like the gilded edge there. It does look quite nice. And I've also noticed, now I've noticed the gilded edge there. We're just going to have a quick look back, because with the mages you've got some nice artwork there, and then with the cups it looks more rock ice like there, and then obviously with the coins you've kind of got a green kind of almost vine sort of texture, and so now we've got the wands, it's more of a gilded style border, so I didn't really notice that at the beginning. So you've got the two of wands. They're more kind of sitting there with their trying to make their decisions, kind of figure out which route is the best to take. Okay, now this looks slightly different from some of the others, because I think that it looks different, but the feeling's quite similar in that they are waiting now. They've done their plan, they're now just waiting for it to flourish. And it's like, right, I've planted the seed, there's enough water, we just now need to wait for it to grow. This one doesn't have the same feel of community, unless they're more kind of comfortable with where they are, and they're just, because the woman's just roaming looks like she's just roaming the street, so she's either looking for something or moving on from where she was. This one does have the feeling of challenge behind it. There's not a lot else going on, but it feels like this woman obviously appears to be accosted for her book here, and so it doesn't necessarily have that same feeling of challenge as the classic riders do, because when I do these, obviously my go-to would be the riders, as they are the most popular deck. Not my favourite by any stretch of the means, but as I said before, when you learn tarot, you learn the riders. So yeah, there's so there's not really a lot going on. There's not really a lot of energy going on with this. Once again, the artwork's beautiful, but there's not a lot of stuff going on. This card usually represents victory and celebration. I don't get either of those here, but you can't go wrong with the cool snake lady. Cool snake ladies are pretty good. So you've got 7. It kind of feels the opposite, because usually the 7 has that feeling of similar to combat, having to fight back, and that there are combatants. That's the word. This one feels like this person has kind of shelled themselves up and only lets little bits of themselves free to enjoy things. 8, I'd say similar to the classic, where it's just all your energy is going into one thing, and you've given it your all, and that has that kind of feeling to it. That reminds me of the Doctor Who Christmas special with the Cybermen. Yeah, massive barrier, pushing back, not letting people in, and you put up the front. So that's a very over-exaggerated version of the classic 9. Now 10, this doesn't have the same feeling of burden, but it does have the feeling of responsibility in teaching in this card. So okay, so the unicorn is running, and it's a standard unicorn now, running in the desert. That griffin, yeah, there was a book on the other card, so these ones seem to be more interested in studying. So yeah, I'll take back what I said earlier. These do have a kind of positive feeling to them. They seem to be varying enough for them to be creatures. And then we've got the sword, and that's a cool little border around there. So I think these ones might have the same feeling of the classic. So the lady there she's definitely not happy. It does have that feeling of, do I, should I take this route or should I go with this route? Should I go with my head or my heart? I assume that one is. And that wasn't the best sentence I ever came out with. That's the feeling I get with that one. Now this card feels less about heartbreak and more of just suppressing emotion, fighting back, not allowing yourself to feel or communicate. So this one does have the feeling. So this one does feel like it's a card of rest. Just sit back and just unwind and let gather your thoughts. Sit down and meditate on the situation there. 5. That's a pretty cool looking 5 of swords there. I remember the classic now. The image is completely gone from my head. But yeah, that looks like taking on a challenge there. I'm going to get my stuff done. I'm going to do what needs to be done. This is my idea. Screw everyone else. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to prove them all wrong. That one looks pretty cool. He's either throwing his sword or using magic to make it float. I'm going to go with the latter because that sounds cooler. So yeah, this card usually represents travel, so it's probably more of this person has gone here to find themselves and to kind of find what they couldn't see where they usually stay, so they've gone somewhere else. A 7 feels more like you've been caught in the act. Feels more like you've been caught in the act, and yeah, you kind of got to deal with now. Now you've been caught. What do you do now? You've got to deal with the consequences. That looks nightmarish. See, that's what the sort of thing I want the devil card to look like. Yeah, similar to the classic. Now, it also has that look of because the creature has the blade in its chest. So it feels more like you've tried to fight back, but you feel that fighting is futile. You did your best, and now your best isn't good enough, and so you're kind of stuck. So that's the sort of from that. 9 has that kind of nightmare feel, sort of thing. The sort of moment you get in your nightmare before you wake up. Well, hopefully you wake up before your hand closes, but yeah, that does that kind of nightmare feel and unease and unable to sleep. Once again, it does have that sort of classic look to it. So 10 doesn't have that feeling of being overwhelmed or stabbed in the back. It's just more of having a better understanding of what's around you, because you've got all the court cards here as well. And speaking of the court cards, you've got the angry looking unicorn. That's a proper angry looking unicorn. Right, the knight doesn't have the classic feeling of the knight there, but there we go. Phoenix looks pretty cool. Not really much I can say to that, and that is one cool badass looking dragon. So that's the unboxing. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click that like button, Leave a comment, let me know how you thought of this design of the video rather than the standard. And you can also check out some other videos here and here, and you can also subscribe by clicking this bit here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment below, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.